What do these people have in common? And Scott said almost apologetically that there was one common quality that every single one of these individuals possessed: an indefatigable work ethic. Welcome to Moments with Marty, your short, sharp shot of leadership insight to help you stay on track between our weekly episodes of the No Bullshit Leadership podcast. In episode 254, which we released about 18 months ago, I had the pleasure of interviewing Scott J. Miller. Scott is the host of Franklin Covey's On Leadership podcast. And over the 6 years that he's been hosting On Leadership, Scott has interviewed some of the all-time greats in leadership, business, and life. He's interviewed household names like Deepak Chopra, John Maxwell, Matthew McConaughey, and Malcolm Gladwell. He's also sat down with people who made breakthrough contributions to our understanding of what modern leadership requires, like Amy Edmondson, who originally coined the phrase psychological safety, and Daniel Goleman, whose iconic 1995 book brought emotional intelligence into the public consciousness. So although we only do interviews extremely rarely on No Bullshit Leadership, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to interview the interviewer. It was sort of like spending time with Graham Norton or Joe Rogan or David Letterman. What Scott has learned from the luminaries who found major success in a variety of different fields is something we can all learn from. My opening question was, what do these people have in common? And Scott said almost apologetically that there was one common quality that every single one of these individuals possessed: an indefatigable work ethic. Now he said, and I quote, "They live balanced lives, but they just have a level of responsibility they feel to invest and to teach and to listen and to keep going. So I don't know that they're that much smarter than you and me, maybe not, but I do think that they outwork most people." Okay, this sort of breaks the narrative a little, doesn't it? We're told to work smarter, not harder. We're told to try to seek balance. We're told to pursue our purpose, which, by the way, seems to have taken on a dangerous subtext where purpose is seen as an alternative to hard work. But here's the thing. To reach the heights of success that you see in these exceptional individuals, working harder than everyone else is just table stakes. It's the entry ticket you need to hold before you can try your hand at success. The second attribute that Scott identified as a common success factor was an abundance mentality. As he said, there's not a scarce bone in their body. They usually feel compelled to share and to pollinate ideas and to make connections. In other words, they all have an abundance mentality, not a scarcity mentality. The third attribute that Scott identified was what he called a beautiful balance between courage and vulnerability, both of which are leadership competencies. He said, they're very comfortable sharing that a book flopped or a course didn't work or a keynote imploded. They're confident enough to share with you what went wrong as well as what went right. Scott was at pains to explain something that seems obvious at a superficial level, but really struck him quite deeply. There's no such thing as overnight success. In Scott's words, every one of these people had years of writing books and maybe their sixth book took off, or they toiled in a leadership space for a decade before they really got traction. There's no such thing as overnight success, and when there is, it's usually ill-gotten or fleeting. But what almost all of them have in common is you'd be shocked to see how long they worked before they became an overnight success. For more depth on this insight, have a listen to episode 254 of the No Bullshit Leadership podcast, What the Best Leaders Do Differently. We'll leave a link in the show notes. I really hope you enjoyed this moment and that it gives you that extra little spark to be a no bullshit leader.